Hello everyone, it's Shakes. Hope you guys have a fantastic day. Today I'm going to be going over how to increase your FPS in Call of Duty Warzone. Now, Call of Duty Warzone just recently came out. It's pretty impressive how they did everything. It's a pretty good Battle Royale. It has a lot of new aspects that make it pretty fun. It's not perfect though, but a lot of people want to jump into it, and it is pretty fun. It has 150 players per match, and it also looks really nice. So because of that, even if you really want to jump into this, it might not run that well on your PC, even if you have a pretty strong computer. With that in mind, I decided why not make a video for those who do not have perfect computers on how to improve your FPS so you can enjoy this game as much as I have, which is admittedly not very much because I suck at Battle Royale games. But anyway, without further ado, the first thing you're going to want to do is subscribe to my channel. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to subscribe to my channel, but it definitely wouldn't hurt. But anyway, the first thing you're going to want to do is go open up your browser, then go to razer.com/cortex/boost. And seeing as you're watching this video on YouTube, you probably already have your browser open and the first step done without even knowing it. I didn't know I was working with such a talented young lad. But anyway, just click the big green download button, and then we're going to be on our way. Just begin the install of it. It's a pretty simple install. Just click yes. You can close out of your browser now. And once this window is open up, just make sure this Razer Cortex is checked, then click install. It should be a pretty fast install. It should be a pretty fast download and install for you. I don't know why the download is so optimized. I hope it's optimized for you guys as well. So once it's done installing, you're going to get a nice little congratulations. Nice job, you installed the software. But anyway, just make sure you have Launch Razer Cortex checked, and then click get started. Once this window comes up, just click continue as guest, and then again click continue as guest. We don't want to make an account for Razer to steal all of our data. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different games that have been scanned by Razer Cortex to see what it can boost. And obviously we're going to have to click on Call of Duty Modern Warfare because that's kind of the reason you guys are here. And as you can see in the bottom right corner, it's going to tell you how many items are being optimized and how much RAM is being released so we can use it for our game. And especially if you don't have very much RAM in your PC, then this is going to be very useful for you because, you know, it frees up a lot of RAM so you can use it for your game so your game doesn't stutter from having, you know, too much RAM switched out. Now the game should open up as it usually does with its loud ass intro, and once we get in, there's going to be a few more changes we're going to make. Now once you have the game open, just go into your options and then click on graphics, and this is where we're going to be doing the rest of our changes. So yeah, the first thing you're going to want to do is change your display mode to full screen. And as for a refresh rate, you're going to want to make it the highest possible one that you can choose because that's going to be your actual refresh rate. And then as for render resolution, you should kind of listen close because this one's pretty important because obviously the more pixels that are rendered, the harder the game is going to be to run. So if you have double the amount of pixels, it's going to be generally double as hard to run. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're tinkering with your render resolution. And as for display resolution, just make sure it's your actual resolution of your monitor because having a high display resolution doesn't really have an effect, while changing your render resolution will obviously change how many pixels are being rendered and therefore how hard it is for your game to run it. Now personally, if I was you, that doesn't make it very personal, but anyway, I'd recommend putting your render resolution to 100 for now, and then seeing how it runs, and if it runs really bad, then maybe you could set it to 50, or the lowest possible one that you can choose, and see if it runs better, and if you still don't have enough FPS, then there's other changes we can make. On the other hand though, just kind of keep in mind that your render resolution is obviously very scalable, so you can kind of choose and find a happy medium that gives you good FPS, but also doesn't destroy your visual fidelity. So anyway, for me personally, I'm going to put it to 75, so I have a 1440p screen, but it's going to render out in 1080p, so it's going to have a little bit more FPS than it would be if it was actually rendering at 1440p. Now once we're done with that, just scroll down and change your sync every frame and take that off because VSync just sucks overall. Make sure your custom frame rate is set to unlimited. Go to NVIDIA highlights, turn this off because even if you do have an NVIDIA graphics card, it's going to be just extra effects, which can obviously make it a little bit harder to run the game. Go down and obviously change everything to as low as possible because that's just going to have less effect and therefore it's going to be easier to run. This is what I always do even if I have a pretty powerful PC. I just take everything down because overall the more effects the harder it is going to be to see, and the less effects the less clutter there is if you want to be very competitive, because if there's a million different effects going on, it's going to be pretty hard to shoot through all the smoke and lens flares. And for example, just to prove that point, depth of field is pretty irritating even if you do have a very strong computer, just because it's going to make things blurry around your crosshair, which is supposed to be a cinematic effect. But if you keep that on, then you're going to be at a disadvantage because things are going to be blurry on your screen, where if you turn it off, you're not going to be blurry, you're going to have more visual fidelity, and that's just going to give you an advantage in a lot of situations. But anyway, just turning down filmic strength and a bunch of other things will just give you a lot more FPS because it doesn't have to put all these weird cinematic things. Like for example, film grain is entirely useless if you want to have a good experience because look at how nice this looks, then look at how grainy this looks. I don't know why games feel the need to be super cinematic in the hopes that they look exactly like a movie when movies have a lot of flaws that just make them not as good as video games in terms of visual quality sometimes. So yeah, just kind of turn all those things off and you can even have a better experience overall, even in the visual department. So yeah, once you've done that, just just click apply settings, and you should be getting way more FPS. As you can see, I was kind of stuck low at 144, and now it's going quite a bit higher. It's like 200, 190-ish. So obviously, even in the menus, I'm getting more FPS, and if I jump into a game, obviously I'm going to get way more FPS because of all the different changes that I've made. And if you guys follow the same exact changes, then you're also going to have massive gains in the FPS department. So yeah, it's going to make the game way more enjoyable. It might not look quite as nice, but it's definitely going to have way more FPS, and that's really the goal, especially in FPS games. So yeah, that is pretty much how you increase your FPS in Call of Duty Warzone. It'll also work in Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the base game, so you can kind of do that if you also have the main game, if you want to play and get extra FPS on that. But anyway, that's how you do it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Remember to stay safe, healthy, and smart in these trying times of coronavirus and other things. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you want to, or if you don't want to, I don't discriminate, and I hope to see you in my next video. Peace.